life is wonderful and the world is wonderful. Surely we should be introducing these people to this wonderful gift that life is and the world is. I think that's a big part of the reason why we've decided to be fruitful and multiply, is to make family, and in our case a big family, a big part of what we do.
I find my family more joyful than any other. My favourite activity with my family is spending time with them. My big sisters help me with is reading my bedtime story and doing my schoolwork. I love playing train tracks with them. I love riding the horses Kerry's riding school.
To be the eldest of 5 children, it's sometimes difficult, but it is very comforting when they see that you're upset and they don't really know what to do except they just go up to you and give you a hug.
Being a father of 5 children is absolutely wonderful. It's such a wonderful thing to be able to teach children about the world, to teach children about God. It's been also very challenging to actually take the world, and then you have the children say, "What's happening here, Dad? Why does this happen? Why does this happen? Why?" And to actually offer them an explanation that is truthful and also presents to them creation.
Hi, my name's Claire and I'm married to Jerry, and we have 5 beautiful children, and we live on a hobby farm just 10 minutes out of Stanthorpe, and we have a lot of fun all together.
My name's Gerard Purcell. I'm the father and head of the Purcell family with my wife and 5 children. We live in Stanthorpe, Queensland, Australia.
I grew up in a large family of 10 children, and I was the 4th. We grew up going to Mass each Sunday and saying the Rosary, and our faith was a very big part of our childhood and our family life. Right from a young age, I really had a strong relationship and friendship with Jesus, which was really, really special and has helped me through some really hard times.
When I was growing up, I myself came from a family of 5 children, and we were a devout family that were close to God through the Catholic faith. My father had a particular love for the liturgy, and my mother had a particular heart for the unborn and has done much work in the pro-life movement. And so the spiritual life of the family and also building the kingdom was something that the family always did.
When I was dating Jerry, we would talk on the phone, and he would say, "One day I want to buy a boat and go sailing around the world." And I thought, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And it took me a little while to realise, and it was probably only maybe in our 2nd year of marriage that he was actually very serious. Jerry decided to buy a boat to work on in the backyard. So we spent a lot of time just doing little family trips out on this little boat. We even took it up to the Whitsundays and we spent 2 weeks on it, just a little trailer sailor, which was a lot of fun.
And we spent 6 months sailing around New Caledonia and Vanuatu, and we sailed up to the north part of Vanuatu. At the end of it, sailed back to Australia. There were times that were difficult, there were times that were wonderful and gloriously beautiful, and sometimes relaxing, and sometimes a ridiculously large amount of work where we would be sailing through the night quite often, and sometimes the weather was beautiful and going where you wanted to go and keeping everyone safe and keeping everyone well. I really enjoyed going to meeting the different people, going to the different communities. Everywhere we would go to the local church. And I really thrilled as a Catholic in all of our travels. Wherever you go, you've always got a home in the local Catholic parish. I loved praying with the different cultures that we met. The children, they loved being out in a different culture, but it was also confronting for a grown-up as well as a younger child as well. So at times we needed to take a bit of a holiday from the different cultures that we were experiencing as well. I think if I was to say that one of the biggest things, or the biggest thing that I came back from our sailing trip with, was the idea that my principal vocation is a father and a husband, and my work as a doctor is very much second. When I came back from our sailing trip, I jumped straight back into my work with the same enthusiasm and the same long hours as I did before. But something had changed, is that I did have a conversion of heart at that moment, that I wasn't attached to my work as a doctor as much as I was before. That I was much more, I'd refocused and reorientated on the family. And that's something that stood me in good stead, because since that time I have stepped down, and I still have that converted heart at that point, that my first job is a husband and a father, and my job as a doctor is second.
I met Jerry through homeschooling camps. He was a medical student and he came up to Rockhampton for a placement, and he needed somewhere to stay, and that was how I first met him. And the thing that really drew me to him was his honesty. He's just a very, very good and honest man, really fun to be around.
When I finally did meet my wife, it was through Catholic circles, it was through friends, it was that we discovered a family that we had so much in common with in the faith. My family was a very ordered family. We tended to be quieter and everything was in its place. But my wife's family was completely different. They were larger than us, they had 10 children. They had an openness and fun which really attracted me to them.
Jerry and I got married in June 2011, and it was a beautiful day. And we were just so excited to be starting a family together and to be joining our lives together. When Jerry and I were first married, I was 8 weeks from finishing off my pharmacy degree. The first years of our marriage were spent with Jerry working really hard, setting up his career. 6 months after we were married, we got pregnant with our first baby, with little Moira. So it was quite different for me to go from a role of being a big sister and helping with younger siblings to being the one who was fully responsible for this tiny little baby, and to be really not getting much sleep. And it was very challenging, but also we weren't prepared for how much joy there would be as well. And we just really delighted in her.
I think that's because we saw the goodness that came from big families. We saw the life and the joy that would turn around and that a big family just attracted to itself.
Right from early on when we were dating, we were both really keen on having a big family, but we also knew that it wasn't a given, that we didn't know how many kids God would give us. And then when we had our first, and she was very colicky and I was struggling with my mental health, I got postnatal depression. It really made us question how many children we could have, because it felt really overwhelming at the time. And we couldn't have this firm plan in our minds of how many children we were going to have, that we would just have one at a time and see how we went.
When we had both thrown ourselves into the married vocation, not as something that we did on the side or something in our spare time, but was actually the principal thing that Claire and I were going to do together. That family should be fruitful and should grow. It shouldn't stay restricted, but have that opportunity to be big and beautiful.
And for the first few years of our marriage and having young children, I continued working in pharmacy. But I just got to a point where I was dropping the children off at daycare and going off to work in a job which I wasn't super excited about. Every time I dropped the kids off at daycare, my heart just really broke. It just really felt like that wasn't what I should be doing with them, that I should be keeping them at home with me, and that I wanted to be the one caring for them. And so I decided to stop working and to let my registration go. And I'm at a point where I'm just really enjoying staying at home with the children and homeschooling them.
I remember a time when I started to notice Claire more. What I noticed about Claire was her virtue. She was very attentive to people. She was very caring of the younger children, and to look after the kids and to be a good mother and be a good wife through all of her virtuous qualities. It gives me a wonderful peace to look upon her and to feel at home with her and feel at peace, because through Claire we're doing this thing called family, and we're living out our married vocation together, raising our family together.
God, pause, be strong.
Very good.
Claire and I both homeschooled at times when we were growing up. And so when we were dating, and we'd talk about homeschooling, and we had the expectation that this is something that we would like to do in our family as well. It was still felt like a really big decision to make that step. And we've been homeschooling for around about 3 years now, and it's been a real blessing to our family. More specifically, is we want a Christian environment for us to teach our children about the world. For us, we want to capture the wonder and the awe that children naturally have when they place themselves in front of creation, and not to crush that or to sidestep it, as I think a lot of educational techniques do, but to take that idea and that natural tendency that children have for wonder and awe and encourage it and teach through it.
It actually went amazingly well, much better than I would have thought that it would, and it was in fact a lot easier than having our children in school because they were much happier overall. And so that gave me then the confidence to recognise that yes, this is the way to move forward and this is what our children need, and that our family life was much better and much happier.
You'd think that that would be a lot of work, or you think that it would be chaotic, but I think that it actually makes our family life much more peaceful. There is a lot of drama and a lot of trouble that the children are exposed to at school, and they bring that into their emotional lives and their spiritual lives, and they bring all of that home and lay all that trouble out in the family environment as well. And so I think that rather than being a lot of work or chaotic or noisy or however else you might think that it looks at home, it actually makes for a peaceful home. And that's particularly our first experience of homeschooling.
When a certain behaviour comes up, instead of just, I think in the beginning we would really focus on that behaviour, whereas now we've moved much more to really trying to understand the children's heart and where that behaviour is coming from and trying to address that issue.
Rather to see the good child that is in there, or the tired child that needs redirecting, or the child that feels anxious or worried because something is happening, or a child that's sick, and to see all of those things and to really sit down with that child and patiently explore that with the child. Over time, we've had a lot less what you'd call disciplinarian parenting and a lot more cuddles, a lot more patience, a lot more talking, a lot more exploring how the children are.
I think one of the biggest challenges really making sure to care for yourself well, because when it's really busy and it can feel like there isn't the capacity in your family for, as a mum, to take that time out to look after yourself. But when you do, it increases your capacity at home. It increases how much you have to give to your children and your husband, and the fruits of that very visible.
We know that these challenges have been given to us to grow us, to strengthen us in virtue, and that those challenges, they're working in many different ways. Sometimes it gives us an opportunity to show love.
So that's something that Jerry and I have really been learning, is that we really need to invest that time in each other, and then the fruit of that then flows into the children. Because when our marriage is doing really well, then the children will really benefit from that, and it really creates a very joyful home to be in.
We saw that in a big family, the family itself developed a life of its own. Family life that had so much fun, so much activity, a character, a sense of community about it. It seemed to be a natural and a wonderful way for the children to grow up. I'm thinking of how are you going to school the children? Where are you going to live? How is your family going to engage with the world? And as the father of the family, it's my job to lead the family and to take on that role with enthusiasm, gravity, or a seriousness as well. As far as the chores, so they've all got their jobs, and just little ones when they get to a certain age. So the chickens need feeding every morning, and the dog needs feeding every morning. And I just offered we're getting some pigs soon, and they've got responsibilities to keep their rooms more or less tidy.
They do enjoy helping us when we're doing things, especially at the moment, our almost 2-year-old. Whenever I'm unstacking the dishwasher, she loves to come and help. I think it is really helpful to incorporate the younger children into the jobs around the house whilst they're really eager, and then that can continue on as they get older.
I think that the prominent characteristic of our family would be joy. We have our morning prayers and we pray before meals. The rosary is something that we committed to as praying as a family, and we've got weekly mass at least. The sacraments are there. It reminds us, well, that's we can't do this alone. We need the church. The church gives us the sacraments and provides us the sacraments as the principal means through which we receive grace, and the principal means by which we are saved. And our family life revolves around the sacraments as well. There we meet with the broader church and our parish community, and we put ourselves in a receptive disposition to receive the sacraments, and reminds us that we are part of this broader church.
I love being Catholic a lot. I love a lot of prayers, but I feel like I love the Glory Be, especially when you sing it, and also the Gregorian chant, the Salve. I love St. Catherine of Siena and St. Bridget of Ireland and St. Margaret of Scotland and St. Rose of Lima. They're all my favourite saints because they're all very strong people and they are very holy.
We teach them about the Bible, and we teach them about the life of Christ. And when I'm trying to be a good father to them, I try to remember that for many people, for many children, how they look towards God the Father, that they look towards their own father first. Then from that develop an idea about how the God the Father looks at them and how they respond to God the Father. And I think, well, I want to be like God the Father to my children.
We share our faith with the children mostly through our example, mostly by sharing our own relationship with God, and then that filters down to the children because they see that love that we have for God. I've started when the children have a big problem that they come to me with. I have started praying with them about that problem, and so I'm trying to teach them to bring their troubles to God and to know that they can rely on Him.
My married vocation is my principal vocation, and that also means it's probably going to be a cross at times, and it's going to feel like a cross. Renewed strength, renewed energy to say, yes, this is my cross. First of all, I have to renounce myself. This is not about me, this is about my wife and my children. I have to take up my cross, that's accept the responsibility, and then follow God, follow Christ. Our family is a beautiful place. It is a place where people love each other, that people genuinely want the best thing for each other. If you feel that tussle or that pull, then recognise as in between your vocation as a husband and a father and the other things that you are asked to do in the world, is to discern that carefully and be very intentional about it. And for most people, the decision is going to be look after your family and be present for your family. The devil tries to stop us from living in the moment. He makes us want to resent the past or to fear the future. Be prepared for all the love and all the joy that's coming your way. And when it's there, recognise it. Be prepared to become that child again who just wants to do the thing that's in front of them and enter into that joy that is on offer right now and right here.
We are the Purcell family and we are joyfully married.